Hey, everybody. Let me get myself pulled up over here. Hit the wrong code. Hold on. I don't even know my own passcode to get my iPad. Thank God it knows my face. All right, so let's see. I'm going to try to get me pulled up over here while some are coming on. Let's give it just a minute. Let's search me. Nope. Okay, I see some coming in, so that's good. Let's just hope Facebook is doing what it's supposed to tonight. There I am. Make sure my volume's turned down. And hopefully I can see comments tonight. So if you're coming in, please let me know. Just say hello so I know that I can be seen, that I can see comments out there. Words are difficult as always for me today. I see some coming on, no comments yet. So if you're out there, please just say hello so I can see the comments. If you want to stay silent, I completely understand. I see Miss Chris is on. Hey, Miss Chris. Ooh, it's been a day. So we made it to Tuesday again, y'all. How about that? I've got my big pencil out because I wanted to write a few things that I would not forget. So last Tuesday, I announced that we were very close to 4,500 follows. And we reached that goal over the weekend, and I did a drawing. So for those who didn't get to see the drawing, my winner was Miss Judy Reynolds. So thankfully, you know what? I can see comments. Hey, Chris, thank you for that. I don't even know what date my very first live was. And y'all, I'm having to write huge because I'm using this huge pencil. So I am now keeping a log. So I am writing down, who won at what drawing. So I'm going to do another drawing coming up in when I hit the 5,000. I'm going to do that. Thank you guys so much for being here and for just being a part of this journey with me. So this is my little hobby on the side. I love coming and hanging out with you guys, and it has been a blessing. And it's been a hot minute since we looked back and just reflected. I don't even know how long I've been doing lives at this point. My very first live was in the group Up and Growing. And Vanessa, which was the lady who taught the group, she had a live event. And some of us crafters come live for the very first time. And I'll forever be indebted to her because she pushed me when I didn't really want to be pushed. And I did want to be pushed. Let me rephrase that. I wanted to be pushed, but I was terrified. So thankfully I jumped, and here we are hanging out. I don't know how long later. It's been weeks and weeks and months and months. Actually, I've probably been doing lives for a couple years now, but I need to go back and find out. I do see some coming in. Hey, Miss Peggy. Hey, Michelle. We just chit-chatting, and I was just telling them I'm writing down the winner of my drawing last week was Miss Judy Reynolds. She won the drawing for my 4,500 followers. So we will be doing another drawing when I hit 5,000, and I've got her box over there. Bless her little heart. I haven't even mailed it out yet, y'all. I'm behind, but y'all come on in. Let's just grab a copy and let's chit chat as we craft. So my desk was a whole mess today, but I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I like to show you when I have a finished product so you can kind of see what we're going to do. This is what we're going to make tonight. And I'm going to show you step by step. Thank you, Miss Peggy. I love my pencil. It's hilarious. I'm going to show you step by step how we achieve this. And for you guys who don't fake bake, if you're looking for something, this is an easy project, but we're going to use some resin, and we're going to use some styrofoam and clay. So we're going to use some of all of the things, and spackle, of course, because we got to have our topping. So the first ingredient of our fake bake is this little, this is what I call a mug filler. It's a floral foam from Dollar Tree. It's $1.25. There's the SKU if anybody wants it. If you haven't seen these in your local Dollar Tree, you can order them online. Sometimes if I have something I'm going to use a lot, I'll order a whole case. The prices of Dollar Tree's gone up by $0.25, so it does add up that way. But for something like this, they don't always have them in my Dollar Tree. But if they do, I pick up 2 or 3 here and there. But before, they never had them, so I would get a whole case of them, and they would last me for a year, So anyway, but that's what we're going to use tonight. Hey, Dale, as you're coming in, if you're new to my page, please say hello. I'm new, and if you are just introduce yourself to the group. And you guys that are sprinkling me out, thank you in advance. If you think you know someone who would enjoy this project, please do that. Help me as I grow my page. So what I always do with styrofoam is I use this serrated bread knife I picked up at a thrift store probably. I don't cut bread, so it's perfect for me. And serrated. If you hate this volume, y'all just turn it down a minute, because what I do is kind of judge. What I'm trying to go for is, you know, when you buy these sponge cakes for making the what are these things called? Give me a second. Strawberry and cream cake. Is that what they're called? Somebody help me out. I can't remember what these are called. I don't eat them, but at my house growing up, we had a lot of this type of thing during berry season because my mother loved strawberries. But she would normally make them from scratch. But this is kind of, the actual cake is sloped a little bit, just like this cupcake, or this cup filler is. So it's too thick, and I'm going to cut it down. So what I normally do is judge. I'm only going to cut, I'm not cutting it in half, just about 3/4 of the way up. That's what I'm going to use. And I'm sorry if you hate this, just mute me for a second. And you don't have to worry about having it exactly straight, because it's very hard to cut a straight line, for me anyway. So I just kind of take it around and judge like that. Now, if you don't care if it's straight at all, you don't have to do that. See, it's straight enough. You see what I'm doing? So I do have this little sander if you really care. And I'm sorry about the noise. Some people really, really hate this. Thank you for sprinkling, Teresa. And thank you for coming in. I didn't see you when you came in. So you can just sand that flat. Sand it flat-ish. It doesn't have to be flat, because we're not going to stop there. And this is a little bit of a messy project. But I don't throw this portion away. Strawberry shortcake. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, thank you. Y'all would not believe how just the normal things are hard to remember when you're live, because sometimes it's like, I don't even want to say the word, but it's very hard to think of words when you're live. So if you are used to making strawberry shortcake, you know when you buy those cakes, they have a little divot in here. So we're going to do that too, and I use my ball tool for that. So I just take one of the bigger ones, because what I'm going to do is press it down using my ball tool like this. I'm using the larger one just because I want to get it done quicker. So I just go around and I press in the center like this. And don't worry if you're not exact, because it don't really matter. Most of it's going to be covered up anyway. So I do like a little flower in the center, and then I take it around the edge and just roll it so I get it more straight around the edge. Does that make sense? And then I do the same thing in the center of it. I'm shaking my whole table. Luckily, my camera's not on the table. Okay, there we go. So this is what I'm trying to achieve. Let me kind of clean this up, because this stuff gets everywhere. Ugh, I hate that grimy, greedy feel of it too. So I'm going to take that off and just turn it over. I'll clean it up later. Ugh. It gets everywhere though. So, hey Jamie, hey Roberto, no Roberta. I'm sorry, I can't see that far off. Let me look over here at my comments. If I'm missing some coming in, I'm so sorry. You guys know I'm terrible about looking at my comments. I wish I were better at that. I do understand some people have a comment reader, and I really do love that, because they don't miss as many as I do. Now, I'm going to use this tonight because I need to get rid of it. I'm tired of it tipping it off my desk, but normally I use Mod Podge. So what I'm going to do, I may have to open it. I'm going to put quite a bit of glue into my container here. And as you see, I've already used this container. It's got yellow paint in it. That's fine. So normally when I'm painting styrofoam, people ask me all the time, hey Lori, hey Miss Judy, thank you so much for coming in. I think I've got another Julie on. That's a different Julie. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to show you what we're making. We're making this, and I'm going by step, so you guys that know exactly how to do this. And thank you in advance for all the sprinkles. That's right, Miss Judy. Say hello to everybody and all our friends. So I'm just using this glue in my paint. So I just put a good bit of glue in there. And then the color I'm using is Banana Cream by Americana. So normally what I do is just put my Mod Podge in there. I'm using the Elmer's clear glue tonight just so I can get rid of it. But I do normally use, thank you for sharing that out. Thank you for sprinkling. Hey, Angel, my friend, somebody told me you had a birthday. I saw that on Snapchat and I hadn't even had a chance to comment back like happy birthday, but happy birthday. So, hey, Miss Diane. So you see, I just put the glue in there and poured my paint directly in it. Let me get my apron on, y'all, because I'm such a messy painter. And I haven't even changed clothes since I come home from work. How many of you guys worked today? I sure did. I woke up this morning with a migraine and I texted in on me, I'm going to be late for work because I felt so bad. This weather is just doing it to me. You know, all this pollen, it's killing me. But I got up and I took my medicine and I started feeling a little bit better, and I was about an hour late to work, but I just it's either that or don't go. But how many of you guys suffer with migraines? Thank God my doctor's got me on a medicine that really seems to help. I haven't had a full-blown migraine in probably a year. If I can catch it like right as it comes on, I can prevent it from being like the worst thing ever. Maybe I won't get paint all over my clothes. All right. So now that we've got this done, thank you so much for all those coming in. If you're new to my page, will you please let me know? Just say I'm a newbie and where you're coming in from, so I can stop back and say hello to you. Just say hashtag newbie, and we'll do that. Okay. Now that I've got my little divot in, I think, who am I missing? I saw some comments coming in. Okay, so I just dip it in. I don't even mix my glue, y'all. I just dip it, my brush in to my glue and my paint, and then I start painting. Now, I have got one pre-painted so that we can do the actual project, because before you go to the next step, you're going to need this to be completely dry. So when you're painting styrofoam, you just go liberally with it and just gob it on. Just gobs and gobs of paint. And make sure you're getting some of that glue with it. But I normally only do one coat. Some people go back and do 2 or 3 coats. But I find that when you use the glue, thank you, Miss Judy, for the stars. I love you so much. Thank you, thank you. Let's see if I can send you some hearts. Thank you guys for all the stars. Thank you, Miss Judy. Miss Judy is the winner, I was telling you guys earlier, of my drawing last month, or last week. I haven't even sent her package, and she still loves me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lisa, for coming in. Thank you so much. So just make sure you're putting enough glue in your mixture so that you don't have to go back and paint this 2 and 3 times. I never have had to do that because I use probably more glue than paint. Because your glue is going to actually, going to seal, and your paint's also helping seal. So that's why I do that. I'm dipping in my glue mixture, probably the glue first, because it is still separated in my container there. But I'm not worried about it. I'm just gobbing it in. So you see how I've gone around, and if I see a spot that I'm trying to find one to show you. Okay, see, like right here where that green is still showing, I do go in and put a little bit more. And I put it on there thick, y'all. We're putting it on thick. Because I've got to let this dry. It's got to dry probably, I would say, a good 4 hours before you go to the next mixture. Depending on the temperature and the weather in your area is how long you got to let this sit before you can go to the next stage. But as you see how fast this is going, and you see how much paint we used. If I'm missing any questions, I will try to answer them later. Thank you for all the sprinkles. Thank you, Miss Diane. I appreciate you so much. And there's spots on my little styrofoam that's kind of indented, because you know styrofoam has its own imperfections. So when I see that, I take my brush and kind of force some paint in there. The other thing I'm going to caution you on items like this when you're painting is, okay, I'm going to show you the one I've already done that we're going to use today. So this is the one we're going to use. See how I painted it? I don't bother painting all the bottom, but I paint just a little bit on the edge because, you know, if you sit something down, you may at one angle see part of that. So I do go all the way around the edge and paint that too. The center the same way. I painted the center here, but you see how much green you see out of there? I don't need full coverage there. The only reason I put that at all is because I had extra paint. Like on this one, if it was green in the center, you'd never know it. So don't really worry about your center so much. I may not even paint the center of this one. But then again, I may because of the paint extra here. So just go around your edges like I did. Just the corner edges because that's where you may have a little green peek through your dish. Does that make sense, y'all? Am I missing any comments? Sometimes when I get to crafting, I'm so quiet that I'm concentrating. And it's so much harder, I feel like, to craft when you're live because you're trying to engage with everybody, but you also are trying to make sure they're getting the gist of what you're doing. I like when you see all the steps, and I also don't mind when you see something that went wrong because that helps you know what not to do. Because I love it when crafters are live and they see something like, hey, don't do this. So I do want to get the upper edge here where we push that down because I don't know where my strawberries are going to hit. So we're going to put strawberries on here. And some of you guys probably are better at making strawberries than I am. So see, I don't really care if the strawberries are one of your favorites. So Miss Judy, I know you makes, and see I've got leftover paint, so I'm just going to do in the center. That's why I paint it, because I've got leftover. So I'm done with this, and I'm going to sit it to the side. Let's see. I'm going to sit it on something so it can be drying, but I don't want to sit it on something I worry about it messing up. Let me see here. I love these little silicone cups for paint and stuff. They also work good to turn it upside down and put one of your projects on like that, and that's what I'm going to do. Let me just sit it out of my way, or I'll end up with paint everywhere I don't want it. Let's see. I'll sit it back here. Out of sight, out of mind. Okay. Y'all, I'm such a messy painter. And I was on live one day, and I said, I'm so messy. And the person says, well, I can't tell it because your desk is clean. I don't think you're that messy. But I had like paper put on my desk. And this is I've got one of those mats on my desk that is like a see-through mat. I did that so that I could put things under it when I'm live and be able to read it and not get paint on it. Well, now my mat has stuff all over it, so I've ruined that too. Okay, so I've got most of that off. Because we're going to work with clay, I don't really want all that paint on my hands. I'm going to show you, some of you didn't know how, do you guys do clay art? Is there anybody in here that doesn't really know how to do, like, these are my strawberries I made ahead of time. So I'm going to show you how to make these. And I know some on here, like Miss Judy, you know exactly how to make these. So I'm not doing it for Miss Judy. I'm doing it for some who may see my live later or watch the replay and don't know how to do those. So that's what we're going to do. You stick that over there in my bath. And before I do that, let me paint a couple of these. I should have painted them already, but I didn't. So they need to be dry before we put our resin on it. And I'm not sure which color I want to use. Let's use the tomato red. I've got this tomato red that I picked up. It's by Americana. And I got this one for 34 cents. I always check out the cheap paints if they got a markdown. I look at them because we can always blend them with something else if it's not something I want to use, you know. So I like to use 3 strawberries when I'm making these. And I'm using a sponge to just sponge my color on. And I'm looking to see, that might be a little dark. Yeah, let's tone it down just a smidge with some antique white. Just a smidgy. Because I don't want my strawberries to look like blood red, you know. Don't you wish when you bought strawberries at the grocery store they were red? But no, they're never really ripe like I want them to be. So I'm going to tone it down just a little bit. And I love strawberries when they're good and ripe. So Chris, you said you've done air dry clay. This is foam clay. And hey Rebecca, I'm trying to make sure I said your name because I cannot see Harley over there with these glasses. Y'all, I need a new prescription. I need a new prescription bad. Forgive me for not seeing good your names. Let me one thing too is because I put these little holes in there, you almost have to have a toothpick to get in there. And sometimes when I want my strawberries to look a little more realistic, I do this in yellow. Because you know how strawberries have like the yellow speckle parts in the little divots. But today I don't really care because I'm going to cover most of this with resin anyway. I just want, see there? So that's painted good enough for me. So there we got it. Oh, it's not red. I got a little bit of white, antique white I mixed in with my red paint. And let me get that one over here drying. So we need 3 of those. I want to make sure I get some that are kind of close to the same size, but they don't have to be exact because, you know, nothing like that is ever exact. When you buy strawberries, they come in all different sizes. So Chris, have you ever used this type of clay? Because this is the clay I'm going to use tonight. I use, this is some from Area 54 Outlet. I've had it a long time. And I'm going to use pink just because I need to get rid of it. And normally I use white when I'm making stuff like this. But I'm almost out of white clay. And I'm going to use pink to see if that helps me to tone the colors down. Or to, you know, like if you don't have full coverage on your... We're going to try that. Now I'm using my little toothpick to do that, because believe it or not, even though we're using red on red, with the resin will be red too, you will be able to see these little divots. It makes it look more authentic. And I probably could have done this step first, but I don't think it really matters. And you probably don't have to do them all because you're going to go like I'm going to lay only one side's going to be up anyway. If I'd missed you guys coming in, I'm so sorry. Thank you all for being here. If I missed you coming in and you're new to my page, please let me know you're here. Say hello. I appreciate y'all so much. I love when you're painting clay, I don't really like painting. I'll show you. Let me just show you. Let me get a brush. I don't like painting my clay with a brush for the most part. Well, where's my... Oh, there it is. I sat on my towel. So, let me just show you. See, like right here, there's side. When you brush it on, you get those brush marks. And I would have to do like 2 coats to cover that up. To me, it's just not worth it. So, I keep one of those large sponges, like the car wash sponge, and I just keep cutting the pieces off. This is one I've been using. This is probably the last piece of this one I have. And when I get through, I just toss it away. And that one sponge will paint a lot, you know. And then I don't have to follow up to cover up brush strokes or nothing like that. That works for me. But you guys, you know, whatever works for y'all. Now let me get some of my little divots. It don't take a lot. And you see how fast this goes? I'll make a couple of strawberries, or at least one, so y'all will see how I did it. In case you have never made one, you can make one today. And if I run out of paint, I just miss my little sponge with a dab of water, and it keeps on going for a little bit if I'm almost out and don't want to put more paint in my project, y'all. There. That's good enough. All right. So I have my 3 strawberries. And I hit this one with my hand a while ago and messed some of it up. So I'm going to dab it back over. I hate doing that because I thought I was through. But I dabbed it. So there we go. All right, so you see I've got those 3 done, and that's really all I need. The others will be for a different project. When I'm making strawberries, a lot of times I'll make several of them because I like to have some on hand for any project I get in my mind that I want to do. Let me get those cups out of the way. And I'll just wait till my cups dry completely, and then I turn them wrong side out and clean all that out. Thank you. Thank you for the sprinkle. I saw somebody had sprinkled. I appreciate it. Hey, Andrea. Hey, girlfriend. I'm so glad to see you here tonight. I saw Michelle was on right before I came on. I was like, oh, no. Because I thought she had been on earlier today, and I missed it. But I don't know if she's still on or not. So I'm just going to get a little bit of my clay, and I'll show you guys exactly how I made that. I feel like I got a chunk in there that dried out. I felt like I had a piece. But no. Okay. I need a clean toothpick to hold it. Well, I say clean, but you know, it's been used several times. I reuse my toothpicks all the time. So, if you're wanting your strawberries to be exact, you can weigh them out, but I'm not that kind of gal. I'm going to eyeball this and just say, and I've got a bunch of that stuff from my styrofoam in there. I don't want to get stuck in my clay because it will mess your clay up. So, I'm going to sit it on a clean plate over here. And if you're using, this, like a whole bunch of it, you're going to want to seal this up in a bag while you're working if you work really slow, because it dries out fast. That's too much. So I want a smaller one. So this is how I make my my strawberries. So I just put it in a ball like that, and then I take my hands like that and I roll it until it's like a point. Now I turn it upside down and I push it down on my table. And see, then I put my toothpick in it. And if I feel like it's a little wonky, I do that again. But you can push it down if you want it a little bit shorter or whatever. And you can kind of cup it in your hand and roll it a little bit. But see how it looks? It's got the shape of a strawberry. Now, the way I do the little divots, I use this tool from the Dollar Tree. So I use the smallest point if I'm making a smaller one, and I use the larger. And you can use one of these, because this has come from Amazon. They come in different sizes, a lot of different sizes, like you saw me use the large one. But this small one is, I guess it's for Cricut. I have a Cricut, y'all, but to be honest, I've never plugged it up. I don't have the patience to learn something new. Pray for me. Maybe I'll get better at that. But anyway, what I normally do is start at the bottom and just stick it in. And I go to the other side, because I kind of look at it and I do side and then the other side like that. So I do 4 on the bottom, and then I come between those and I go up a little bit. And then I go there and do the same thing all the way around. When I got there, I go up. So I'm making like a little square with, like, you remember when you used to do the connect the dot game? I just remember that. That's been decades ago, y'all, when we used to play that. I don't even know how to play it, but it's just triggered my memory. I just remember fighting with my siblings over it. Those are the good old days. So there we go. See, I've got some little divots all the way around. It looks like a strawberry now. Sometimes I'll put one at the end. I think I need one right there. So now I'll stick it over here in my bin of strawberries. And in a few hours, I can paint it or use it. These I made a couple of days ago when I knew I was going to make this project. I had an order for another one of these. So I said, let's just do it live. Instead of doing it in advance, I did it with you guys. Hey, Miss Lisa, do y'all want to see another one, or are you good? Do y'all need to see another strawberry in the making? I don't want to learn the Andrea, I am so glad. You know what? Sometimes I buy the little Cricut faces to go in the little mini mugs. I'll buy those, or Cricut sayings. I have a girl that works with me, and I'll say, I need you to make me this, and tell her what I want. Why would I learn something? Y'all, I have so much stuff that I will never fully learn it. It's so bad. My brain is on overload all the time. I just can't. I can't learn another thing. I feel overloaded all the time. So here we go. We're going to do, I've been wanting to make, you know what? Let's just do it. Because you know what? You're making strawberries, Miss Judy? That is awesome. Yes. So I've never made one of those like double strawberries, but we're fixing to try one. Let's see. You know the big, fat, juicy ones that you want when you get the tub and it's like it looks like 2 strawberries screwed together? We're fixing to try to make one. I've never done one of those, but let's just see. So what I'm going to do is put them, let's see. That one's a little too big, I feel like. Let's do a different one. Let's add to it. We want a big whopping strawberry. We're gonna get a big whopper, y'all. So remember, just put it in your hands. And I know it looks like a point, but then we're going to just push it down a little bit. And I got all that stuff on my desk here, but it'll be all right. Sometimes I use my knuckle to push it down just to give it more of a strawberry shape. But you can use your ball tool too. All right. Let's try. Oh, y'all. All right. We'll see. Let me find my tool. Let's see if we can marry these 2 pieces. That's funny. I feel like it would be fine. It looks, y'all, it looks like a butt. Especially with the divots on it. But when we paint it, I think it'll be fine. Let me dip that in my water and see if it'll smooth it over. Hey, Carissa, I saw you come in. Hey, girlfriend. I hope you're doing good today. Let's see if we can marry those. I think it's going to be fine once we get it all together. It's going to look like a big old strawberry. Let's put some divots on it and see. It kind of looks like a tooth. But I've always wanted to do one of these, so do it we did. You know what I always say, it's just crafting, y'all. No rhyme or reason with this one. I'm just kind of putting them in there. It don't look bad. I think once we paint it, it will look more like a real strawberry that's screwed together. Fun fact, when I was growing up, I actually worked on in a strawberry patch. And Andrea, I don't know if she's still on or not, but she lives over there where they used to have Strawberry Festival. Every year, we had to gather strawberries for the Strawberry Festival. They kind of do, don't they, Chris? So, see, it don't really look that bad. Once we paint it, it's going to look like a double strawberry. I'll put this on my ice cream any day. I hate that, Carissa. I do. So, when we were growing up, we had the Strawberry Festival in Chadbourne, North Carolina, which is not where, it's close where the cutest little thing, she lives close to that. So, Andrea, I know you're very familiar with strawberry decor and strawberry festivals, but we used to work in a strawberry patch and we provided flats and flats of strawberries. Oh, it was the pits. So to this day, I'm not big on strawberries. I like them fresh and really ripened. My sister, however, she loves them, but she was too young to remember. She's 4 years younger than I am, so she loves strawberries. Me, it just brings back memories of work. Oh, that was some work now, I'm telling you. And we were really small. And my mom would sneak us strawberries sometimes. She wouldn't let us just get as many as we wanted. She would just hand us one every now and then as we're picking. I'd be like, that was the treats, you know? Okay, so there's where we are. Now I'm going to stick my clay back because we don't need any more. Now that we've made our strawberries, let's see what our next step's going to be. I need to make sure they're good and dry. So let's check them and see. They need a little bit of drying time. I brought a couple of different plates so y'all could see the process of choosing the right plate. And I'm going to tell you the weird thing about this dessert is when I made this dessert the first time, I made it on one of these mats because I didn't put it on a plate. Because I couldn't find what I really wanted to put it on. But when I found these dishes, these blue line dishes, I thought the blue and the yellow went really pretty. Let's see, I saw Eileen come in. Hey, girlfriend. And who else picked strawberries? Miss Chris said she picked strawberries up when she was growing up, that's how she bought her school clothes. And I'm going to tell you, I was too young then to really pick strawberries for school clothes because I was very young. I was probably in 4th and 5th grade. I would get on the bus at the strawberry field, and by the time I got off the bus, my mom was home. She'd go to her next job. She was a very hard-working lady. And that's when I was little. But now when I was grown, like older, teenager, we put in tobacco. And that's how we bought our school clothes. I grew up on a tobacco farm in South Carolina. And honey, you talk about hard work. Strawberry picking is hard, but tobacco is a whole new level. So yes, I've done them all. And we used to cut cabbage and pick cucumbers and dig potatoes. I used to work on the potato digger, and the potatoes would come up, and every now and then it'd sling a snake up there, and I'm terrified of snakes. I hate them. So who said they worked? You worked tobacco field too, Andrea? Oh my gosh, we had 96 acres. I think it was the last year we farmed. And my stepdad, he retired from tobacco in the 90s. So I graduated high school in 95, I think, and he quit farming tobacco just a couple years afterwards. So that's a job. Yes. I've shucked a lot of corn too, Carissa, but we didn't do that as a profession. So, all right, so we got our strawberries here, and I'm going to show you, this is how I did it in my divot. This is why I put the little divot there, because I wanted my strawberries to kind of angle out. And that's how we're going to arrange them. And that's, so kind of like this. Now, I brought a couple other plates, and you'll see I've got a red one. And that's really a pretty plate. Who said that they hated to pick strawberries? I think that was Chris. You hate it. I literally hated it. Because when we got on the bus, at Strawberry Field, we would go in the morning, like first thing. When most people were eating breakfast, we were at the Strawberry Patch. Because they're on a expiration. You know, you get them while they're getting good, and then they're gone. Well, when I would get on the bus, my shoes and socks would be full of water because you're out there in the middle of the morning time where the dew's everywhere. And I would walk on the bus and go. So it was humiliating, and kids are mean. So I was like in middle school when that was occurring. And, you know, we grew up in not the most, not a wealthy home. So you're already a target for the wealthy kids, you know. Well, I freaked out every time they threw a snake up there. And I'm going to tell you something else that freaked me out. I used to, like I said, my mother married when I was older. So that's when we ended up working in tobacco. And I used to love the riding the cropper, because if you didn't work the back of the cropper, the tobacco would come through and it would push into the tobacco drag. And it would throw the leaves up there, and it would throw those tobacco worms. Now, every now and then it would throw a snake too, but thank God I have never had that happen to me. Because if I had, I think I would have just died of a heart attack. But it would throw those tobacco worms in there on you. We would have tobacco worms like smushed on us. It was awful. But that was much easier than working in the tobacco at the bulk barns, where you did so much work. Oh, it was so much work. But it was the good days. You know, those were the good days. Andrea, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you grew up on a tobacco farm. So I'm going to let you guys tell me which plate y'all want me to put this on. I'm going to either put it on this small white one, the red one, and I feel like the red one, I love it on the red one until I put the red sauce. So when you put the red sauce, it may not show up as good. That's why I'm thinking we probably need a white. And you see, this is the blue one, like I have the one I showed you. This one's much smaller. So we can put it on the white small one, which is a little more dainty, or this one. Which one do you guys think we should use of the three? I'm going to let y'all choose. So you think the red one, the blue one, or the white one? Miss Judy says the red one. I'm sorry. You like the red one, even though you don't think the sauce will get carried away in there. I like the red one too. So we can use the red one if nobody else votes on a different color. Y'all want a different one? We got one vote for red. Any other options? See, the one here is like the one I showed you. It has the blue line on it. And the reason I did the blue one is because I have a coffee mug to go with that one. So I'm going to eventually, which white one, you guys? The small white one or the large white one with the blue? White with the blue. The white, let's see, did you wear a track? Girl, you know we did. Andrea, yes, we did. We get up in the morning. So let's take a minute, y'all. For those of y'all that did not grow up on a tobacco farm. So we grew up, we would get up and have to set tobacco. And you have a setter. So you get a tray of tobacco plants that's basically in your lap. And they're wet. They spray them with water, so they're wet when you put them in the dirt. And they have this wheel that spins really slowly, and you're like this all day. Okay, I'm going to throw something in a minute. So, you guys want to do this one? We have this one with the blue. I think we're going to do this one just so we can have a different one. Small white one. Yeah, let's do that one. So we would wear trash bags, y'all. It's so funny because we would get a hole in the top and put our arms out and wear a trash bag here, and then we'd wear another one like a bottom. So we'd wear 2 trash bags because in the morning you're freezing cold and you're soaking wet with all the wet tobacco, and then it would dry off and you'd heat to death, have to take it all off, only to repeat it another day. Thankfully, we only had a few days of setting tobacco. Then you have hoeing tobacco, suckering tobacco, cropping tobacco, putting tobacco in the barn, taking the barn. It's a process. Oh, it's a whole process. But we had the absolute best time. All of us girls, that's how we bought our clothes. Had the absolute best time. So we're going to use the small one. Eileen, I do have a couple of pictures of me sitting on tobacco. Like, it's so crazy. We posed on top of the tobacco. When you take it out of the barn, they tie it up in these burlap sack things. It's like sheets, and once you get it in the hoop, you put it in a hoop, and they tie it up. Well, we would pose on it. We were cool. I'm telling you, we were really cool back then. And that's what we did. But we loved it. But I don't have any photos of me wearing the actual bags. I wish. And nowadays, they don't even do it that way. I went and visited a friend of mine, and they have like a conveyor belt that they have like a podium that manages all the things with buttons. I'm like, this is not farming, y'all. I don't know what this is, but this is not farming. But yeah, I wish I had some of those photos because, trust me, honey, nobody took photos back then. We were just mad at the world having to be out there doing it. And I don't have not the first photo, but I have a lot of memories. And my sister and my cousin, I had 2 cousins that worked with us, and my sister, the 4 of us, we were just like the 4 amigos, and it was just good times, y'all. Good times. Loved it. Let me grab some gloves. So now we're going to use some resin. I do wish I had a trash bag photo. I hadn't thought about that in years. Thank you, Andrea, for bringing that up. Andrea, if you have some photos, we need to see yours. She is like me. She grew up on a tobacco farm, so that's hilarious. I had forgotten that. I love memories like that. And my mom would work with us there too. When she married the farmer, we were introduced. We already were farming, but not for an owner. We just were farming, you know. It was a lot. Okay, so I'm going to use resin, and because I'm doing it for you guys, yes, you bought all the school. Honey, we would work so hard, and, oh, Andrea, that is so funny. I love that. We would work so hard to buy school clothes, and we'd go and work Monday through Friday. Sometimes we put 2 barns in a day, and at the end of the day, we had irrigation ponds on our farm. We would throw the bar of soap in there. You know, the soap that floats is what? Dial, I think it is. Or ivory. Anyway, one of them floats. So we would throw it in there, and all of us would dive into the pond and wash in the pond. You know we weren't clean, but that tobacco gum is really, really sticky. So it would be everywhere. Yeah. So Teresa, you're a military brat, and she said she grew up farming too. Yeah. We loved farming. Even then, we would enjoy it. We just hated getting up in the morning, and a lot of times when everybody's going and doing fun things, we're on the farm. You know, you have to farm when it's time to farm. And, but yeah, we even would park our car when we started driving as teenagers. We'd park our car close to the pond and we would dive off the hood of it. And one day, my brother, one day he had dived in there, jumps out to go dive again. And he slipped and busted the window of his car. Oh, so, because you're wet, you know, it was fun. We had good times. But we eventually put a diving board out there on our pond. And it's just an irrigation pond. It's nasty. That was the nastiest pond, but we had the best fun. So, I'm going to use part A first. I love these stories, too. I love these stories. But it's funny how you forget all this stuff, and then when your mind comes back to it, I love it. I love it. My mom loved farming, too. All right, so I'm going to stop right there. And the only reason I'm measuring, because I really don't know how much of this I need. And I meant to put a little mold over here. If I have extra, I'm going to run and grab a mold because I don't want to waste any of my product. I'm at 1.4 and y'all, when you're using resin, I always start with A. If you, whatever you do, start, like with me, I start with the same thing every time because right now if my phone rings or I have to run out to go to the ladies' room or whatever, I will know this is A. Sometimes I even write A on the cup. Then I'm going to go to my B. And I'm going to do 1.4 and this one as well. Because these are 1 and 1. You have to have equal parts for it to work. If you don't have equal parts, it will not work right. Sometimes, y'all, I'll be honest, I do eyeball it. And that's not, yeah, let me give it a second to catch up. I'm still a little bit short. I have these cups, when I buy them at Dollar Tree, they have flowers on it, and I use the flowers as a guide. But these don't, so I'm having to weigh it just to make sure. And I'm almost there. I missed a comment. Carissa says she grew up on a cow farm. I love cows. Let's see. Baling hay was fun. I know. You know what? When we look back, I'm going to tell you, we had the most fun. Those were the good days. If we'd only known then how much fun we were having. But we didn't. And now, me and my cousins, I had cousins who lived, like I lived in South Carolina, but right over the line of North Carolina. And I had cousins that went to school in North Carolina. Well, during the summer, they would come stay with us just to farm. All right, so we're there. So they would stay with us just to do farm work to earn their money to buy school clothes. I'm missing some comments, but I can't see them. Baling hay, let's see. And the cats would line up and... Oh, that's funny. So Carissa, she said she grew up on a farm where the milking cows and the cats would line up and Mom would squirt the cats with the milk in their mouth. They'd just line up. It was their turn. That's fun. So now that I've got that way out, I'm going to move that out of my way. Now, once you mix mine, my actual... let's see which one of these. One of them's way more watery than the other, so I always push that one into the other. You do it however you want. But I'm using these cupcake liners because I have hundreds of thousands of them, and they're disposable. So if anybody is just getting into fake baking and needs some cupcake liners, let me know. I'll be happy to gift you some. All right, so then you have to stir it. You know what, Teresa, you are right. She said back then it was work. But when my boys, and you guys know, that follow me, I have 2 boys and they're both grown now. But when, let's check my time. So when my boys were getting to be teenagers, I called my friend who was still farming, tobacco farming. And I just thought that my kids would do what I did and go farm. But no, do you know the federal government has stepped in and you cannot have anybody farm unless they're 18 or older. So all the fun we had back then, Andrea, you could not have today. If you work on the farm and you're under 18 and you're not family, now you can have your own children help you. But if they're not your kids and they're on your farm, the government can fine you, and it's thousands of dollars. And I did not know that. So my boys did not get the luxury of doing what I did. And our younger generation, that's to me is why we're having these issues. My uncle does roofing. And so the same thing, like when we were growing up, my brother used to go with him roofing as a job when he weren't in school. And my brother's 50 years old now. He's still a roofer. So he learned a trade by going with my uncle. And my uncle paid him. He didn't get free labor. He paid him a good money. That's how he bought his first car. Well, how he kind of bought his first car. My family helped, I'm sure. But, you know, all the things like that, that's how he got the things he wanted, because our family didn't just hand it out. And, or couldn't hand it out. Back then, you worked for things, you know. Even if they could give it to you, you still work for it. Hey, Sam, thank you so much for coming in. We're reminiscing about the good old days on the farm. Telling them stories about when I was growing up on the tobacco farm and how much hard work it was. Oh, my gosh. And it was. So now that I've got this mixed up, I've been stirring for about 3 minutes. I'm going to put some red in it. I'm going to use the same red that I used in my strawberries. It is crazy, Andrea. And that's what I told them. You know, I told my friend, I said, that is awful. That is awful. That this generation will not have that. And they were disgusted by it too. But that's just the way it is. You cannot work teenagers anymore on the farm. You cannot do it. And I thought, my God, no wonder. No wonder these kids will never know what it's like to really do work. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to put a little bit in my cup so it'll adhere to the strawberry shortcake. Oh, I can't talk. Now, I brought over my UV resin, because normally I would put a little UV resin in there and lock it into place. But I'm not going to do that today because we're on live and I'm just going to do it. And this will stay. It's just going to take it. It's going to have to dry. And I feel like I could have made my strawberries even smaller, but they're going to be what they're going to be. I'm making sure that when I use them, that most of if I've got any imperfections I don't like, that's downward. But I'm pretty okay with these. It doesn't have to be exact. Now, I'm just going to strategically make sure I go over my red berries to cover up my imperfections I don't like. And I'm just going to drizzle it. I'm going to fill that little divot because I want my stuff to pour out and over. And you see how pretty and red this is? That's because I use paint. Some people only use alcohol inks in their resin, but I like to use paint too. Sometimes I use alcohol inks, but it just depends on what I'm doing. I can't see. It won't let me tap my comments here. Hold up. Teens these days are lazy compared. Honey, I know it. I had 2 teenagers, and to be honest, they were lazy too. Still, like, my oldest is not as lazy as the youngest, but both of them were lazy. They had a lazy bone. But that's because they didn't have a mama like mine. You know, I wasn't the same kind of mama that my mama was, or they wouldn't have been like that. But I just felt so bad that for my kids, I didn't want my kids to work like I did. But y'all, it wasn't till they're grown that I realized that was the best thing my mom ever did, is make sure that we knew how to work. And you think you're doing your kids the right thing, like not making them work like a dog like you did, but no. Who knew that was the best thing in the world for us, you know? And I think who was that said it? Miss Diane. Girl, if I knew how many butter beans and peas we picked and we shelled, oh my gosh. Y'all want to hear a funny story? We love stories around here. So when we were growing up, my same cousin that used to work in tobacco with me, her name's Renee, and if she don't ever get on Facebook, but if she wouldn't care if I told this story. We laugh about it. So one year we were all in the garden and we were picking butter beans, and Andrea, you remember helping your mom in the garden too? Most of us Southern girls did. And you know, and I know it sounds sexist to say this, the guys didn't, but in my family that really wasn't a problem. The boys didn't help in the garden. The boys were busy doing things elsewhere, you know, I'm not saying they didn't work, because they did, but the boys just did different things. And nobody was questioning things like they do nowadays. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not about that equal mess. I still want a guy to open my door. But anyway, we were in the garden using we would pause. Andrea says she made her kids work helping their granddaddy with sweet potatoes. There ain't a thing wrong with that, Andrea. Them kids need to know what it's like to work. And your kids, when they're grown like we are, they'll appreciate that their mom made them do that. But we were in the garden, and we were using the 5-gallon buckets to put the peas in. Well, when you got one full, you know, you just left it sitting there, but you could use it to sit on. Well, y'all can tell where this is going. My cousin sit on her bucket, and she scooted down in the bucket. I thought we'd never get her out of that bucket. She was stuck. Me and my mom were pulling on the bucket. We were all three laughing, and we could not get her out. I don't know how she got that stuck. But you know how you get in a bucket like that, you sit on it, and you just kind of scooch down in it? The child got stuck in the bucket. It was so funny. We like to die laughing. And she stayed in that bucket a while. We could not get her out because it was so hilarious. All right. So we've got everything here. Miss Judy, I see you made a comment, but I can't read it over there. Let's see. She took a break from strawberries to tell everyone we still took too long to get canned. They cannot. Let's see. They can and freeze everything to tell everyone if we stood too long. Oh my God. I got it. Now I see what you're saying. That's funny. Yes, I'm telling you, during the summer, it was garden time. We would get those. My mom made pickles, and she would get those big Rubbermaid totes, like the big ginormous ones. We had like 3 of them. Deals, bread and butter, sweets. And we just made pickles. Oh, God, we made pickles. And it was like days and days of pickles. And I'm like, can we do something else? Then it was tomatoes. I don't know if y'all know this, but if you worked in tobacco and you had to clean, like you would clean your hands and they would be completely yucky even after you clean them. We'd wear gloves like this because we didn't want our hands being nasty, but they still were sometimes because we'd get so hot we'd take these off. But we would cut up tomatoes. And we would volunteer because you'd had the prettiest hands afterwards. We would literally take the scraps when Mom would can tomatoes, like the scraps that she didn't use, and we'd put our feet in it because it would make your feet so pretty. Get all the yucky stuff off, give ourselves pedicures with using tomatoes. So, yes, we did all those things. Yep. Life on the farm was never dull. So, y'all, that's pretty much the end of what we're doing here. But I'm going to tell you 2 more steps that I need to do. You hate that vinegar smell. Now, Chris, I love vinegar. I love vinegar. I take the turmeric and vinegar shots. I drink it right out of the bottle because nobody else here uses it. I love vinegar by itself. I love dill pickles. I love eggs with a little vinegar over it. I love vinegar. So that smell does not bother me, but I grew up making a lot of pickles. But so what I'm going to do here, now that I've got this, well, I'm going to tell you, Andrea, if your mama does anything like that, then you just enjoy it, because my mom, like, she gardened right up till she got too sick to garden. So some of you follow my page have seen me on my mama's tractor. That's why I have that tractor, because my mom would use that tractor to till her garden and disc it up and everything. She'd get that garden ready. Well, even when she got dementia, like my mother had dementia onset from diabetes, and she only got that the last few months of her life because she'd been on dialysis and it caused her to have dementia. But she wanted somebody to get out there and get her garden ready because it was warm. She thought it was time to plant that garden. So when she passed, my husband has has got out there and just redone her whole tractor. It looks so good. Mom needed to really do more work with the tractor, but she didn't. Oh, jalapeno jelly, Carissa, I love that. And when my mom used to make jalapeno jelly, you know how I love to make it? She would make them homemade biscuits too, honey, with lard. You use lard for biscuits now. And she would make those homemade biscuits, and we'd put cream cheese on the biscuit, and then put the jalapeno jelly on top of your cream cheese. You're talking about fitting to eat. I'm telling you, that is fitting to eat. Whoo, got my mouth watering. Now, I can't eat biscuits no more, but I can eat the like the biscuits made out of cheese and almond flour. So I might make me some of them, have some jalapeno jelly. So now I'm gonna tell y'all last 2 steps with this. I cannot put the cream on top, but I'll show you what I use. The whipped cream, I've got to wait for this to dry. But see, we're gonna squeeze a little whipped cream on top, and this is just spackle. Mixed with, I use spackle, and I use white paint in my spackle, and to make it really a little more thick than that, because when you add paint to your spackle, it's going to make it a little watery. So I will either add like baby powder to my spackle, or I use plaster of Paris in my spackle. It gives it a thicker consistency, and it'll make it stick up and stay where I put it. If you don't, and you just use paint, and you need to use paint because as white as spackle looks, it's not white when it dries. It dries like an off-white color. So I'll show you what happens if you don't. See how, let me show you the two. So see how high this cupcake is? If you don't put something in it like the plaster of Paris or powder, it'll sink down like that. So this cupcake, and that's not what happened to this, but that's what will happen. This is like that because I made it that way. But this is the difference. Had I made it, I'm just showing you from experience, if you don't put something in your spackle to thicken it up, it will look sad because it'll dry, it'll sink down. Because it gets, I don't know, it's not good enough on its own. You need to add a little something to it to keep it fluffy. And some of you fake bakers know what I'm talking about. Y'all could tell that a little bit better than I can. So I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to let this sit here for about 15 minutes, and I'm going to keep checking it. See how runny this is? This is super, super runny. In about 15 minutes, it'll thicken up. And when it thickens up, I'll come and I'll put more. And it'll look like it's more. See how this one's really thin looking? And the red is kind of disappearing. I can't tip it over, but so much because y'all will. Let me see. Can you see it there? See how it's kind of translucent and see-through? That's because the resin is really, really thin, so it just goes down. When this thickens up, I'm going to put some more on there, and it'll stay where I put it. But I need to wait about 15 minutes. I'll set my timer and check this about every 5 minutes, because if it starts to thicken, then you've got seconds. If it starts to thicken, you don't have long at all. I've had it thicken up in the container, and I can't even use it. I mean, it's completely solid. So once it starts to thicken, you have to work kind of quickly to get your resin on there. And that's what I'm going to do. So I can't do that with you live because I have to give it that 10 or 15 minutes. But that's what we're going to do with that. I'm going to set it to the side just a minute. And I may be able to do it live because I wanted to do my coffee for this one. So I'd forgotten about that. Let's go ahead and do the coffee. And we'll keep checking that. Hopefully my resin doesn't harden before I realize it. So I'm going to do the same thing. Let me get my scale because I want to weigh this. Make sure I get the right amount. And I'm going to start with, that's B. I need to start with A. I always start with A. Ugh. And it's so hard to open this A one sometimes. I don't know why. I guess the resin gets around the top. Oh, let me turn it on. And I'm going to need more of this one probably because I want to fill that cup pretty much to the top. If I'm making tea, I don't do that because I got to leave room for my tea bag. If you guys have seen me make tea, I leave room for the tea bag. But in this case, I don't want to do that. I'm going to fill it all the way up and make coffee. That was 2.7. I need 2.7 of my B. And really, Betsy with Heavens to Betsy is the one taught me how to make the tea. I've never seen anybody make coffee, but after I saw her make the tea, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's adorable. And I started making tea and coffee in my cups because I have a surplus of coffee and teacups. So let's see, this one, which one? This is the watery one. Now, unfortunately, I need a bigger container, it looks like, because I didn't even think that through, did I? And I got something on my hands. Ugh, hold on. I got resin on my hand. Yucky. That resin is a beast. It gets everywhere, y'all. And once it gets on my hands, I'll have it all in my hair. I have had to cut a few pieces out. Alright. That don't sound like me at all, does it, Eileen? Alright, so now I've got to find me a bigger container, and I had some over here. Let me find them. Huh. I guess I used them all. That ain't going to work. Give me just a second. Let me find the larger container, because I definitely cannot use that. I'm looking for my cups. Give me a moment, y'all. Hold up. Gotta have a cup. Well, we've always got those standby. I hate to lose my Tupperware like this, but we're going to use it anyway. Alright. And this is really too big, but we're going to use it anyhow. That is way bigger than I needed, but hey. I must be out of cups because I try to keep disposable cups up here for this purpose, but oh well. Alright, you guys, don't let me forget to check my my resin over there on my red, okay? I need about 5 minutes, and I'll check it. Now, by the time I get through stirring this, it'll be ready. Alright. So let's stir that. And how much time I got on there? It's 7:07. Y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. We've been reminiscing about the good old days and about tobacco farming and all the gardening. I just love all those moments with my family. I think that's really why we look so fondly back on it, because like when I look back at all the things like that, every one of those people just about, except for the young people, are gone. So my gardening days with my grandma and my mom, we used to, yes, Eileen says when my resin dries, I can peel it out of my fancy Tupperware. She's right, I can. I do that too. Let's see. And some people don't do it really fast because they're worried about bubbles, but I never worry about the bubbles, y'all, and I don't have any trouble. The only thing I do is when I have bubbles, I use my grill lighter and just heat the top up. You can also use like alcohol, the really high volume, the high proof alcohol, I guess is what we're going to call it. The isopropyl. Is that how you pronounce that? No, it's probably not. That's definitely not right. Sounds wrong. But anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. The higher the number on the alcohol bottle, the more it does bust the resin bubbles. There we go. I'll get it out. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add my coffee. And let me check my resin real quick. See. Ah, it's still skinny. It's thin over there. Let's get some coffee. Perfect time for a coffee break. My friend Amy is not on, but if she pops in and watches the replay, Amy, it's half calf tonight. It's not decaf, but it is half calf. This is called latte, coffee latte, and I'm going to use it. Let's just test it. What I love about using paint is you really don't use a lot. The color is, it goes really quickly. And see, I don't know, y'all can't really see very good. I don't want to pour it out on my table, but see, the color just goes through and dyes it really, really quickly. And to me, that's probably about the color I want. I like my coffee creamy. And that's the color I'm going for. And it mixes really, see how brown that is? So that's kind of the color I want. Actually, my coffee is probably a little lighter than that. Oh gosh, yeah, it's a lot lighter. Let's put a little lighter in there because I want to be true to myself. This is antique white. Let's add a little bit more. Let's add some cream to our coffee. The only problem I have, y'all, is making black coffee. And coffee can be any shade that you really want it to be. But when you go make black coffee, I had the hardest time making it black. Because black coffee is not actually black. It's just really, really dark. So if anybody has a suggestion of a color that maybe they made coffee, please let me know, because I would love to make a couple of black coffees. That's a little bit better. Let's judge. Ah, that's pretty close. Mine's even a little more light. Miss Judy, you made 18 strawberries while we were live. Awesome. So now I'm just going to pour it. See, I'm going to show you guys how. Oh, I guess I should have told you before I do that. Let me show you real quick before I pour anything in there. So if you'll see in my cup here, what that is plaster of Paris. I normally put it in there somewhat. And the reason I do that is because plaster of Paris is a lot more cost conscious than resin. So if you're trying to keep your prices down, like if you're selling your items, well, hey, Miss Kathy, thank you so much for coming in. We're fake baking it tonight. So resin can be so pricey that I normally fill my cups pretty much where I want to stop with, crud of muddy. Y'all, crud, I got it on the side. Oh, we don't like doing that. Hold on. Let me get my little towel. Jeez Louise. Oh, foodie. Let's see. Okay, didn't get on the outside, which that's good. Let me get it off the inside the best I can. With resin, once it dries on this surface, I'm not getting it off. Some things you get it on, it will come off, but you need to let it dry all the way before you even try. Okay, so I got that off, and I would love to turn this where y'all could see it, but if I do, it won't dry level. So as I'm doing that, let me see if I can show you a little bit. Okay, so if you can see it, as I'm doing that, the bubbles are popping up. So we want that to happen. The bubbles will come up, and just let that happen. The reason it's doing that is because it has that plaster in its porous, and it sinks into it. So don't worry about it. Just come back in about, I don't know, I check it like every few minutes. What if you do the darkest brown and add some black? Well, I did try that. I'm glad you did, Ronette. We are making desserts, honey. Look at there. So I did try the darkest brown and added black, and it still looked really, really bad. So it's just hard to practice with resin. Probably what I need to do is practice my paint colors and just paint it on something to get the right color. I didn't think of that till we were talking. That's why I love you guys, because sometimes we can talk things out, and that gives me the right choice. So the reason, if you notice on top of this cup, when I showed it to you, it had a lot of like flakes on it. That is cinnamon. So normally I do that on top of my plaster of Paris because I make tea, and if I'm making tea, I use a much clearer resin, and I want it to look like tea in there. But with coffee, it don't matter. If I knew I was going to use coffee with this cup, I wouldn't have bothered that step. But I didn't know. So this is thickening up a little bit, but it's still pretty watery. I need it to be a little more thick. But my coffee cup over here is still bubbling. And what'll happen is, this is my grill lighter. So as I let that bubble up, it's not going to do me any good right now until it stops the actual bubble. I know that's not really a technical term, but it has to actually stop bubbling and then it'll have these weird bubbles that come on top. So I use my little tool here. Let's see if y'all can see it. I'm going to tilt you back over so you can see what I'm saying. Definitely test it. Also put the color choice on a card so you know what. Oh gosh, Eileen, I really do need to do that. I really, really need to start me a color card recipe. So let's see if I can scoot that cup where y'all can see what I'm doing. I don't want my surface not to be, oh, wrong way, dumb. There we go. Okay, so see, now I'm going to show you what the lighter does. It gets all your bubbles off the top. See how clear they'll start to be? And now my surface is pretty and solid. But it'll keep bubbling. That's what I'm saying. You have to come back and keep checking it. When you work with resin and you want it to be like a flat surface, you have to come back. Now, some people want bubbles in, like if you're doing certain types of drink, you want bubbles. Sometimes, what was it I was doing the other day? A root beer. So I did root beer and I wanted bubbles. So I actually took my resin and added some dish detergent to it and some paint, and I took my straw and I bubbled in it to give it more bubbles. So you don't always want it to be bubble free, but in a coffee, you know, most of your coffee, unless you're using your Nespresso, it's not really bubbly on top. But that's how I get that flat look. And I was going to show you one if I have one, but I don't think I do. I've got several I've got made up, but let's see, here's one that's a tea, but you see what I'm saying? This tea doesn't have any bubbles on it, but it's a flat surface. So you want that look. Now, can you do that without resin? Yes. This is a little cup I made. This is just cardboard and I painted the top. So you don't have to do this if you want coffee and you're just making it for yourself. But if you want to get resin in it, that's how you do it. And right, Eileen says, remember not to take a sip. You know, some of you were on the other day, I was telling you about my husband trying to eat my candy. Lord have mercy. And y'all, Eileen, I ordered that mold. I was trying to look for it. I ordered that mold and made me some of the blueberries. And I showed Gene, and he's like, do not leave those out because I will eat them. They look so real. So some food like that looks really, really real. So anyway, as that thickens up, we're going to use, let's see if we can, I'm going to sit that to the side. And when you're letting your cup, if you're doing cups with drinks in it, whether it's like, you can make all kind of drinks with resin. I don't drink like mixed drinks, but some people do make wine and things like that. You can make those mixed drinks with resin, any color and any combination you want with fruit or whatever. And you make it the same exact way. But if you want a straight, a flat surface, make sure the surface you're using is straight. And one thing I like to do when I'm making multiples of these is I'll use a big, I have a wood cutting board that's big, and I'll put them all on it while I'm working. And that way I can pick the cutting board up and move the whole thing so it's not on my surface continually as it dries. But be cautious when you're moving your stuff, because if you tip it, you're going to have little marks on the sides. But you see how this is kind of holding in place a little bit better now? That's because this resin is thickening up. It's still not as thick as I want it, but it is thicker. Because I want it to drip down more, and I want some of my drips to stop midway. So for that to happen, my resin has to thicken up quite a bit more. But you see how it's doing better than it did before. So some of these resin projects are going to take you a little bit. It's going to take a minute. All right. I think this is doing a lot better though. And y'all see how easy it is. It's just a little bit of time. It does take time. But it's so easy. Look at here how pretty it is when it's rolling down the side. Because you want it to look all good and juicy and strawberry goodness everywhere. That's so pretty. It's definitely holding its shape a lot better as my resin thickens up. But like I said, I don't always make these on a surface. You can use these little mats like this, and I get these mats at Amazon. You can get them at Hobby Lobby. Sometimes they have them at Dollar Tree too, I think, but they're smaller. But as you when it dries on this, you can peel it right off. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. If you use a surface like that, and you peel it off, and you won't, this is what I did with this one. So this was not made on this plate. I made it on one of these mats, and then my resin was flat. So anytime you do that and you want to transfer that to a surface, all you have to do is get your plate. If you make yours on a mat and you haven't got the dishes yet, then you get your plate and put you a little bit of resin in it, and take. I used the UV resin on the bottom of this and in the plate, and I mashed it down and used my little UV flashlight and heated up this resin so it would come up on the plate. So that's why I'm saying, if you make it on a flat surface, don't worry, you can still put it in a plate. But it has to mold to your plate, and you can do that using your heat tool, and it'll stick right in there. Hey, Carol. Oh, I just stuck my elbow in my fake coffee. Oh my goodness. That resin is sticky too. So that's where we are. Let's check our coffee again. I got to get my gun, my little thing, and just pop those bubbles. As they come up, you just keep that surface clean. But you don't have to do it often. Just come every few minutes and check it. You know what I'm saying? And now this, it still needs a little more thickening, but it's almost there. But my dessert's looking so much better. Even without it thickening up all the way, it's already looking great. But I need to let it thicken a little bit more. Now, as far as my Cool Whip topping, I cannot put that on until my resin is completely dry. So I won't do that till tomorrow. But I will not keep you guys on here the rest of the time while I do that. But now I have a lot of this coffee mixture left. Let's see what I got to put it in. What can I put that in? Give me just a second. I'm going to grab one of my things here. So I try to keep a mold handy when I'm doing that. And I found these are so pretty. This is IOD, what's the name of this one? Vintage Brooch. And I don't care what color the resin is. I'm still going to use it because when I use this, I'll paint it. So let's see which one we want to pour it in. This is the most intricate. Let's try that one. No, let's do this one. I really want to use this one. So when you have leftover resin from a project like that, keep you a mold close by so you can pour it in it. And that way you can not waste your resin, because resin does become kind of pricey, y'all. And let's just give that a second to settle out in that mold. And I'm going to use the rest in one of the small ones. Let's pour it in there. I love this mold though. And I've already used it once, but some of you guys own, and we may do this one day on a live, but I made molds with this using toilet paper. So you don't have to have fancy gadgets and doodads to use things like this. You can I use toilet paper to make fill my mold sometimes. I use a mixture of Mod Podge or white glue and toilet paper, like just tear it in pieces, or paper towels, or you can use like newspaper. You can use paper to make stuff like this. When my boys were little, I used to keep all of our dryer lint, because I would use the dryer lint in with shredded up newspaper and glue and make real pretty paper with it. So you can make all kind of stuff. You don't have to have fancy things, you know. But thank you, Miss Judy. I think it looks so real too, don't it? And it's perfect for summer, and it's perfect for 4th of July. People love the strawberry stuff. Summer's coming. And so if you're making one of these, please tag me in your post. Let me know you tried it. And it'll make my day. I hope you guys make some. And I'm going to keep adding to that as this thickens. I can't let it thicken so much, but it's still not quite where I want it. But as it thickens, you can pour it on and it'll hold. It'll hold in place. It'll even hold in drips. That's what I'm waiting on. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate that. I do. And thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to let you guys go because it's not quite dark outside, and I want to go outside a minute and enjoy the rest of the day. My husband's been out there working. He loves being outside in the yard, and I know there's a couple of things. Had these huge monarch butterflies we put out during the summer, and I want to hang one on my fence before it gets dark. And so that's where I'm headed, y'all. To work outside just a minute. So thank you guys so much for being here. If you enjoyed it, thank you, Crafting Mom's Corner, for coming in, and all Teresa, all the ones came in I missed. If you're new to my page, please let me know with #newbie and where you're watching from. If you shared me out, thank you. I will go back and write your name down for everybody who sprinkled me out. I appreciate you. Thank you, Miss Judy. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I'm glad you had time to make those strawberries because you'll be using them in projects for days, honey. I'm so glad. And I'll try to come back next Tuesday. But for you guys that are, thank you. Thank you for that. And I'm planning to be live on Whatnot on Thursday. So thank you, Teresa. Blessings to you too, my friend. I love you guys. So if you are a Whatnotter, please head over to my page on Thursday. I'm trying to give you some hearts, but Facebook is not liking me today with this. But if you go to Whatnot, let me know. I'm going to try to share the link on my page later. But thank you, Teresa. I'm glad you guys love it. Let's see if it'll let me give you some thumbs up. Sprinkle me out. Praise the Lord. Thank you. There we go. Thank you guys for all the sprinkles. I will go back and write your name down because we're coming into the 5,000 mark. And when we do, we're going to do another drawing. Miss Judy, I have not forgotten about your package. It's sitting right over there ready to go out. But I will mail it out to you, I promise. So thank you guys so much for being here. It means the world to me that y'all spend your Tuesdays with me. And I look forward to it all week long. So I'll see you guys next Tuesday. And for those that will be seeing me on Thursday, I'll see you over on Whatnot. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.